This is the Conversation Project's things you might not have heard. Your home. The Conversation Project is your home for headline news, information, and pop culture references that are worth chatting about. And we've got 8 to chat about today. One of them is not the government shutdown. Well, because the government's still shut down. Today starts the beginning of week 2, I believe. So we're kind of just sort of over it till it's over, which may never happen the way things are going. But we do have 2 Trump adjacent stories to get into as well, plus 8 stories total. One of them including the Time magazine cover of the great triumph of Donald Trump and him not being happy with the cover. GMA has an engagement that has been a long time coming, you can say, and we are mourning the loss of R&B singer D'Angelo, which brings mortality fears to all of us of a certain age. When he took over, before the internet could be broken, he took over everything, music and all sorts of entertainment, everything. Talking about him in the video, we'll talk about him and give him a hopefully a fairly meaningful scenario for millennials to goodbye to him at the age of 52. Now let's get into the 8 stories we have. Remember, our website home is conversationproject.com. You can find more about us there, including our origin story and links to our partners page and other sponsors. We will talk about one sponsor today here towards the end of the show. That is Ground News. Ground News is your place for better research. If you are a person who actually says they do the research, you can do it in your news stories by using Ground News. And we have a great deal for you. If you use our affiliate link, we get a small commission for that. We're going to hydrate up early because this is a big one today. Let's get into it. Today is the 15th of October, 2025, the first day that checks for military personnel should clear, although that's not actually going to be guaranteed till they actually clear. But we're not talking about that today. What we're talking about is peace in the Middle East. Due to Donald Trump's triumphant fixing of the 8th war in his 8 months, so he says, Time gave him some praise in the article lauding the Gaza peace deal, but Trump actually slammed Time's coverage, the image itself, as the worst of all time, complaining that the low angle and tiny crown shape over his head, crown shape being his lack of hair. The gripe kept the peace deal story in the news cycle while shifting attention to image making and media bias, things that Trump is really good about talking about. The right-leaning outlets amplify the criticism, where Time has not publicly commented on the photo choices, at least not of what we could pull out in our research. Supporters treated the cover as a win. Hey, Trump's on the cover. Critics said the complaint undercut the gravitas of the deal. Basically, Trump's complaining. Trump got the win, but they complained because he didn't get the win in the fashion he wanted to. Everybody said they loved him, but not quite loud enough. The episode underscores Trump's long-running fixation on optics, even amid major political moves. He actually made the deal to get peace in Gaza, peace between the Palestinians and Israel, and get Hamas to go away, maybe, but he's griping over the picture Time used on the cover. Meanwhile, Trump claims that U.S. forces killed 6 more narco-terrorists off of Venezuela's coast in a boat strike, another one. Trump posted a video of a strike of a small vessel off Venezuela, saying 6 narco-terrorists were killed. Independent confirmation and the targets are limited, and the real deal is if Pete Hegseth can get in some trouble for talking about stuff on Signal, how is Donald Trump putting out these videos of these strikes, even though they're afterwards, on his social media so people can see them? How is I guess the president can unclassify anything he wants to, but why is this something that we're not arguing about, other than the fact that we're blowing up boats that we can't really confirm are actual terrorists or carrying drugs? Now, reports out of Reuters reported the clip shows a projectile hitting a stationary boat before an explosion. The administration provided no public evidence linking the boat to a narco network, which they have not done for any of these strikes yet. Al Jazeera is in the news as well, noting their news that's the 5th known U.S. Maritime strike in the area this year, raising some tensions in the regions with the folks out there. Even though I think it's crazy down there. Caracas condemned the earlier strikes as violations of sovereignty, and Washington frames them as counter-narcotics actions. They say they're blowing up drug boats. The Venezuelans say they are just blowing up people to show they have something to do. Watch for more conflicts, more boats blowing up, and more election year scrutiny in security measures going forward. So this is Trump adjacent. The Education Department is laying off various target offices, most of them overseeing things like special education and civil rights. I may have done this before, but because it's like time is a mental construct that doesn't make any sense, we're going to do it again. AP is confirming layoffs of the Office of Special Education Programs and the Office of Civil Rights, prompting fears of slower investigations and IDEA compliance. The cuts come amid a broader shutdown era purge from other agencies, with unions warning of long-term capacity losses and just how to get things fixed when things become back to whatever normal will be, whenever normal will be. Districts could see delayed guidance on discipline for disability services, and the Title IX and um, Title 4 and Title 9 compliance. I said it backwards. Title 6 and Title 9. Sorry about that. The Department of Education says safety functions contribute to the timelines that they definitely will slip. So basically, look for fewer federal workers, which you already see of, and more people being fired because, as Donald Trump says, the Democrat agenda is going to be wiped out while we have this thing going on. Thank you, Russell Vogt. And when things get back to normal, we'll never know what normal will be again. This one is new, and this one is something very big and very phenomenal. Supreme Court has taken on what is called a Monumental voting rights case of a race redistricting. They're focusing on Louisiana's second major black district, and they were dealing with that, saying it was created to comply with the Voting Rights Act, but violates the constitutional ban on racial gerrymandering. So it's a double-edged sword there. The related AP wire frames the case as potentially gutting a core VRA provision before the 2026 midterms. Analysts warn that the ruling could reshape maps nationwide and shift House control margins. Essentially, all the efforts to make sure you have some racially drawn districts, some things that are gerrymandered on purpose to have race involved, as opposed to being gerrymandered on purpose to keep race out of it or to unrace it, if you will make a big deal. And this may have something to do with, Texas and what they're doing now as well. Analysts warn that the ruling could actually be bad. Experts are saying tight opinions are parsing these types of voting rights acts of violations versus unconstitutional racial sorting. Is it right to basically live up to the act and make sure that there are equal rights for people who are marginalized, people who are certain race is the marginalization that you're using to stick to actually purse it? Or is it against the Constitution just sort people out of race in general? Should just toss it up. Which in case, gerrymandering should just be straight up blocks and not all the little weird things to do to put people that are quote unquote in the same mindsets together. Civil rights and GOP groups are battling this one over, and Louisiana is the direct target for it, but it will be something that will ripple across all the nation, all the states between now and our next election. We've somehow made it to Wednesday, and we're somehow making it through this show here. 4 stories down and 4 to go. Fingers crossed, all prayers I'm going to will be fine today. But we need your help to get more people involved. We are so happy with the massive growth we had in the past couple of weeks. We need to keep that path and keep that pace going. We need you to like the video you're watching right now and other videos we produce on our feeds. More of them come down on YouTube, of course, but we also have Facebook and X where you can also engage in the storylines and help us pick these stories so we have the better ones out there. Hot takes come on YouTube and, of course, also on TikTok. Find links to there at our website. But like the videos you're watching so that the more people see the likes on the videos, the more likes come in that the algorithms will share it with the people. The more likes I see, I know I'm picking the right videos, right information. It all works out great for all of us. Out for the share and subscribe part. People who are like you would enjoy something like this, share with them directly. Hopefully they will engage in it. Hopefully they will like it and watch it and keep up with it going forward. If you're getting this feed from a share from a person that is hoping that you engage with it, or from algorithms believing that you're liking this one because the type of content you like, you're not getting it natively, like automatically. Make sure you subscribe to it in the form you like. If TikTok's your place, we got most of the things for you on TikTok. We have hot takes and things as well. clips is there to see there. If YouTube is your place and YouTube Shorts works, you have double coverage there. Facebook and X are all you want. You get this big show and plus a chance to vote in. It's what's there. We need your subscriptions. We need many subscriptions on YouTube because it's helping us get our monetizations up. It helps us keep going. It helps us keep me from asking for more stuff. Well, I'll keep asking for stuff. Ask for it less frequently, if you will. UConn is leading the women's preseason AP 25 poll for basketball. They're ahead of South Carolina. They're ahead of UCLA. SEC, because we know we want it more or something like that. It's better here. One of those things. Have 10 teams in the top 25 to begin the preseason. UConn at the tops, tying a record of 13th time, followed by South Carolina, UCLA in that order. SEC, like I said, 5 teams in top 10, 8 ranked overall. We have, as ESPN is breaking down what's going on, it's going to be a big year for basketball in college. Now we're seeing a little bit of a drop, if you will, as the hype and love from the Angel Reese and the Caitlin Clark things coming out of college and coming into the pros are still there. There's still plenty of buzz, but it's coming down to a point where the next generation have to pick it up. And they're doing a pretty good job playing great ball in college ranks and keeping people engaged to see who feeds into the next level of WNBA. Big question for that one that may be a stopper will be, will the WNBA actually have a work stoppage, which shouldn't affect college basketball, but it affects the perception of women in basketball itself. We know they're not getting paid what the men are getting paid. And you know what? There's an unfairness because they're doing what they're doing, and there's a fairness because they don't generate the revenue that men do. So it's a complicated issue. But the girls are just as good on their level, and so give them their props and watch them play and get some gold games into that one. So about a month ago, former GMA 3 anchors revealed they got engaged. And they shared the news on their Amy and TJ podcast. That's Amy Robach and TJ Holmes with an engagement 3 years after the original scandal of the scandal. The pair said they wanted fans to hear it from them after years of tabloid scrutiny. They've been together since they left their previous engagements, marriages, and job over 3 years ago. Outlets went back to the 2022 relationship saga and their 2023 exits from ABC to go back to the story, to make it a story. Now, Robach joked that she wore the ring in public without anyone noticing, so she got away with the engagement ring and no one saw it. And they expect a small, low-key wedding because in the planning, no real details that I could tell, nothing that the Robach editor pulled out. But they did tell folks in their shared podcast, which I'm not even sure what they talk about, is coming. There's engagement. This thing is lasting, at least it's lasted this long. And whatever fallout came from the relationships and the workplace seems to be doing fine, at least. We know that TJ and Amy are still together, still going forward with whatever they're going to do. So we hope the best for them going forward. And because I'm that guy, I just can't get the initial part, what's out of my head. I just can't get out of my head. Doesn't matter. Not my people's, not my business. They are living their lives and living their lives okay, but it's in my head at least. The R&B legend D'Angelo dies at 51. Sorry, it's at 52, 51. And he's remembered for the iconic Untitled song, which was basically How Does It Feel? And we saw the picture that he used, basically where he was in the video. Basically, as far as we can tell, he was butt naked. He was only up to like right under the waist, right below where he was kind of like, is he or isn't he? And he just one take kind of just singing to the camera. How does it feel? How does it feel? The song was actually called Untitled. The neo soul pioneer died after a reportedly battle with cancer. His family has confirmed this, and tributes poured out all over from music and pop culture alike. Reuters and AP had obits in there that charted his great discography with Brown Sugar in 1995, Voodoo in 2000, and of course Black Messiah in 2014. Of course, the big hit, the cultural icon Flashpoint, before there was an internet really to break, he broke our minds with Untitled, singing How Does It Feel, being mostly naked to influence a generation of creativity and mostly not being undressed. So that's a good thing. Fans credit D'Angelo with recentering live instrumentals and gospel-inflected harmonies in modern R&B. It was getting way too hip-hop-ish, and he did a turn to make it back to being more soulful. No plans have been immediately announced, but we'll definitely put that up, what's going on. If he doesn't get a Charlie Kirk treatment, then I don't know what's wrong with this country. D'Angelo died at age 51. Immortality sets in pretty heavy on this one because, one, I had some talks with some students yesterday about some old-time broadcasters who had passed, who they had never heard of because they were off the air before, they were essentially paying attention. And the fact that D'Angelo passing away of cancer at 51, me just hitting 51 is basically right on the nose. It reminds folks of a certain age, literally my age, that we're not as durable as we think we are. We like updates, even when we updates the same story over and over again. So yes, we did talk about the firings for the teachers in the education department yesterday. Yes, we did that. That was the same story. We miscounted. I'm sorry, but this one is not the same story. Same people, different outcome. We know more details about the Alec and Stephen Baldwin crash, where he walked away from an unharmed, crashed into a tree in New York. Not quite Brooklyn, but where the joke goes. Authorities say the brothers' SUV struck a tree in East Hampton with no injuries reported when it happened. Alec Baldwin later said he swerved to avoid a truck. Dashcam footage basically surfaced online of the actual incident. With AP and local pickups confirming that the incident happened, police share preliminary cause details. Still no full report out by police, but they don't have to do that until something comes through. Story drew outsized attention because the Baldwins. So in support, we'll update once it's out. Paperwork is finalized. Everything's good. We'll know exactly what happened. But essentially, as I basically sort of said yesterday, we didn't know if it was just, there was an actual incident or he just swerved to hit a tree. He swerved to hit a tree. And we'll see more about that in the response coming forward. Do you want more details about the story we did with Alec Baldwin? Do you want to know why I did two stories on the Department of Education shutting down the same thing twice? And you make sure the facts are the same both times. If you really want to know what Trump thought about his cover of Time magazine, Ground News can help you out. Go to Ground News at our affiliate link. This is conversationproject.com/ground news. And you can also get it on your app for your phone and go from there. And what you will find from there is great news. Or maybe it's not so great news. Maybe it's news you don't want to hear, or maybe it's news you haven't heard yet, because Ground News aggregates news stories from around the world, around the nation, and right there where you are locally. And it will give you all the spills, all the skinny, all the thoughts on what's going on around you. It's simple. One little headline may be a bit misleading, a bit disturbing to you. So they'll give you other headlines from other sources to give you the real feel of what's happening. The real feel is what's happening, and you can determine what you feel about it. They also give you some snippets of certain pieces of stories so you can see how they're being covered, and give you details on the people behind the people, who owns the outlets, what they basically publish, things like that. So you can get all that stuff. And if you really want to get a real head trip, check out their Ground News's blind spot feature. It will allow you to see stories that are being covered overtly and overly by whoever it is you fall into a silo. If you fall into the red camp, you see the stories that they are pushing for the most to put out there, and what stories they're not really talking about. And for the blue camp, same thing applies. What stories they are pushing more and what they're not really talking about. So you can get a real feel on what blind spots are out there based on your coverage. Check it out at our website. This is conversationproject.com. Our direct link to the affiliate link. This is conversationproject.com/ground news. And you can get in great deals. Oh, why would you use our link? Because it's 40% off all the packages. Get your news for less than $10 a month. Great news, less than $10 a month using Ground News. Our website home is this. It's conversationproject.com. Our email address, conversationinbox@gmail.com. Our Facebook page and our X page accounts there allow you to follow us for the feeds and get a chance to photo up stories as you need to. Stories that you engage in, they get a higher score, get a better chance of looking at it. Apologies. Sometimes we get a slip in there. I'm not paying attention. That's why we did the Department of Education story twice. It seemed like it was different from the headline that was rewritten, but it was basically the same story from yesterday. We did update Stephen and Alec Baldwin. Car hit a tree as opposed to car hit something. We have that for you. And of course, the Time magazine cover is because Trump loves Trump and you guys love Trump loving Trump. That's why it's there. So go to the feeds and engage in the stories. We post stories about every 50 minutes or so. Sometimes we get a little behind. And you guys with those postings helps us know which stories are more engaging. So we know we should talk about them probably. Today, as I say this, is now the wrap up for the show for Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. I thank you so profusely for being a part of our world here. News nerds around the world, we're glad you're here. Please throw up a news nerd hashtag for us, if you will, and engage in the story so we know more stories for tomorrow. And be prepped for tomorrow. We should have more information since today is now day 15, the 15th day, the actual third week start of the shutdown. We'll see what blustering we can check in on today, and then we'll go back to hoping things get fixed. Right now, the shutdown is hell for everyone, and it should be hell for the people who should be fixing it. They apparently are getting paid and doing fine, or they're rich from what they've done on the soft side, and they're doing fine. We are not. But in the meantime, I love you all, and hopefully if I can do something for you, at least in the realm of giving you some decent news coverage and some conversation on it, at least I'm doing that much for you as well. We'll see you guys with a Thursday edition, fingers crossed, tomorrow.